and welcome to the Wayfaring Panda. I'm Annette. Today I'm participating in a YouTube hop with scraps to embellishments put on by Ginger from Ginger's Corner. And once a week they do swaps over on her Facebook group and Ginger's Corner, and you can participate as many times as you want. The videos are once a week to go with each theme because each week is a different theme, and the participants on the YouTube hop usually participate at least once a month and sometimes more. So I will try to do at least once a month. Anyway, this week the theme is Christmas. So I have all of these scraps left from when I had some ladies over at my house and we made bags that were small bags from die cuts that I put some tea samples in to put at our community center tree that I put up. So anyway, we have lots of Christmas scraps to choose from. I also have those reindeer that I stamped with some Hello Bluebird stamps. Those are no longer available. But anyway, I also had made a whole bunch of reindeer, not for the same thing, but for making Christmas cards. I like to do a lot of stamping coloring all at once, so sometimes I make a lot more than I'm going to need, and then I just save them for later. So I'm just looking to see which papers will work best to go with the reindeer. As you can see, these scraps are just the perfect size to make tags. So I have a tag punch and I'm looking through to decide which ones I want to make into tags. The tag punch I have is from Recollections. It's an old one, and I think that's a Michaels brand, or it used to be, but you can get any kind of tag punch that you want. You can also use die cuts. A lot of different companies have die cuts for tags. I have one from Fawn, but it was too small for these deers. And then I like on this one, you can see the bottom whenever you put the paper in, so you know if you have it right side up or not, and if you can see if you've got the paper all the way in there. The only problem is, even though I could see, I did cut at least one of them upside down because some of these are directional, so you want to make sure you have it right side up with the tag hole at the top. I also decided these scraps would make great journaling cards, so I cut some of it out with some lawn fawn die cuts that are rectangle shape with stitching around the side. So you could do that with whatever rectangle dies you have, or if you don't have dies, you can just cut your scraps into rectangles. And then I'm going to go around the tags and the ones I'm going to use for journaling with some color. So I'm just using my Distress ink. And on the tags, the white part that's going to be the journaling area, I used Rustic Wilderness, and I used that same color on some of the green tags. And on the red ones, I used Fired Brick Distress ink. I just used my Tim Holtz blending tool to go around the edges, and with these particular ones, I just have the original foam. I am switching over to the dome foam, so some of these I still have the older ones with it. I did wipe off my work surface after each color that I used and before I moved on to the rest of the project so I don't get ink where I don't want it. I did edit that out of the video so the video won't be so long. I use a Creative Memory stencil to draw on my journaling lines, and I'm also using a fine line marker. So you can use any fine line marker. I tend to use black because then it's kind of neutral, so it'll go with whatever scrapbook page that you're doing. But sometimes I do use other colors if I wanted to color coordinate with the papers or anything else in the layout. Now I can use these lines as well as the lines on my mat to help get my lines straight. Otherwise, I'm sure mine would be crooked. In order to finish the journaling cards, I just glue the white paper onto the pattern paper with some Nuvo Deluxe glue. I already had some little Christmas trees or pine trees colored from previous cards that I had made. I believe these came from a different Hello Bluebird stamp set, and I just glue on my tree onto each of the cards, and I used some stickles, goldenrod stickles to decorate. And this was getting near the end, but I did have enough to do all of my journaling tags, as well as I put some goldenrod on all of my tags. I just show you doing one because I did all of the tags and cards the same. The stamped images I had already stamped out and cut out previously, and I colored the other ones off screen, so I'm just coloring one on screen so you can see how I do it. I'm using Copic markers, And these are mostly Copic Sketch, and I leave them at the top of when I'm coloring so that you can see the color. I'm just using one color for the really tiny spots. So for those, I'm using Y19 for the bells, and I use R46 for his collar, and then for his hoofs and his antlers, I'm using E37. And for his spots and the inside of the ears, and on some of the deer had tongues, this one didn't, I used the R00, which is a kind of a brownish pink. It's very light, just to give a little pink tone to it. And then I use 3 colors on bigger areas. I try to do shading, so I like to start with the darker color first and then blend out to the lighter colors. So I'm using E33, so the bigger number is generally darker, and I use kind of lighter colors because the last number indicates how dark it is. So 3 is usually a mid-tone or a little bit lighter. So I'm using E33, and I'm just going in under his belly and the lower part of his underbelly and where his bottom part of his legs are, and back behind him because that's where it would be darker. And then I move to I think 31. Yeah, E31. And that's where I do most of his body. And you'll see that I go over it quite a bit because there's quite a bit of jump between E33 and E31. So I did have to blend it out quite a bit to get it kind of a smooth look. And then on the face, I start with E31 and E30. I like to use the lighter colors on the head because, first of all, the sun would be hitting there more because it's closer to the sun. And there's a shadow unless he's under a tree, but we don't have any trees in our card. And I like to start with the darker and then go to the lighter, but I like to have the lighter colors on their face so that you don't lose their facial features. And it was important on this one, I had stamped it with a brown alcohol ink so that it's an alcohol ink friendly ink. It's actually a Lawn Fawn crunchy leaf. It gives it more of a unstamped look, so it looks like it's more painted than if you do black. But if you want more prominent features, which is what I usually do, then you want to use black ink. Of course, you could color these images and also with colored pencils or any other coloring mediums that you have. Next, I work on my tags, and I used a hole punch to punch a hole in the tags, and then used my crocodile to put on the eyelets. But I found out later you really didn't have to do both, and so later on I finished up some of my other tags without using the hole punch. And on this first one, you'll see that I had trouble with the green one. I actually had a lot of trouble with eyelets today because sometimes I put them going the wrong way, and so that it was on the back. And then other times the green one just for some reason wasn't working, and I found out they were smaller than the one I do at the end where I do a gold star one. I think those are 3/16 of an inch, where these must be smaller, so I need to find what setting I need to set it on the crocodile to get it to work right. Then I just use some twine and just loop it through, and I'm leaving it straight because with our swap, if we use twine, we need to tape it to the back instead of doing a bow so it's not as bulky. Then I just use my Nuvo Deluxe glue to attach my deer to the tag, and then it's done. And then I did do some more off-screen once I figured out how to do my crocodile and figured out what was going with that. Also decided that the tags needed a little bit more decoration, so since I still had some of the goldenrod stickles left, I did put 3 dots on all of my tags to get some gold in there. And I will put a picture at the end of the video. I also decided to add some crystal stickles to the trees on the journaling cards, and you'll be able to see that in the last photo. I'll put a list of the products that I used in the description below. Some of these may be affiliate links. They don't cost you anything extra to use, but I do get a small commission from any sales that those links generate, and that helps support my channel. If you like the video, please give it a like. I'll leave a list in the description below of all the different people who participate in the hop. Now you can visit their individual channels and see which weeks they did participate. There will also be a playlist of all the different videos that were made this year of using scraps to embellishments, so you can get some more ideas of using your scraps to make some embellishments for your cards or your scrapbooks. I want to thank you so much for watching. Hopefully this inspires you to look and see what scraps and things you have in your craft supplies and make some things that you can use for either decorating your cards, your scrapbook layouts, or any other paper projects that you're working on. You can also use these tags in your scrapbook, and you can also use them for tags for gifts. You just might want to put to and from on the back. If you're not already a subscriber, I'd appreciate it if you can subscribe to my channel. I want to thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.